it finally completed or came right out in the open in 2020, with all our statues being taken down, destruction of our history, which was designed, as I said in previous shows with you, Jeremy,
right,
to destroy any concept of respect for the Constitution and set the stage for Marxist totalitarianism. That's what this was all about. And now what they're doing, and I haven't been to school lately. I went to college in the high school and college in the late 60s and early 70s and got a very good education. Back then, it was a different type of environment than it is today, obviously. But all they're talking about now is how you feel. Oh, you're a racist. You're a sexist. We got to teach people not to feel a certain way. Well, I'm sorry, but people have a right to feel any way they want to. That's called the First Amendment.
You're damn right we do. We got a right to feel anything and say anything.
Right. And so this is now getting to a point where you can't even, a member of my family, I'm not going to say, was a supporter of Hillary. And I was accused of, I thought you were a Democrat. You're not a Democrat. I was, and of course, when she lost, he said all white men must die.
Right.
They're teaching these younger kids this crap. And of course, a lot of it has to do with the Democratic Party's identity politics. Now, that identity politics is true. The Republican Party's used it too, going after Southern white vote that used to be Democrat.
Right.
That's somewhat identity politics too. But, the Obama thing, in my opinion, as much as Bush was, Obama, a massive disaster for this country, because what he ushered in was this takeover of the Democratic Party, which is strictly based on identity politics, feelings, victimization. Well, if you're going to be a victim all your life, guess what? You're never going to have a chance to really express your true feelings and be a free person, will you? You know what I'm saying?
I do.
No way. And so this is what they ushered in, this victimization, personalization. The opposition to Donald Trump, including this attempt, the coup d'etat they tried on him with the Russian bullshit, that was all personal. Who engineered that whole coup d'etat against Trump from day one? Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And who does Hillary Clinton represent? The CIA and the Bush camp. No doubt. And, of course, that was proven during the Biden campaign when Junior Bush was there actually advising the Democratic Party.
Right.
So you can see how corrupt and utterly, what's the word for it? I'll use the word evil these people are. Total control.
I think that's a great word. It's not just that. I mean, it's the cancel culture. It's everything else. But, Tom, me and you have had conversations where we talked about the border 6 months before, and what we said was we got to be really careful because if there is a Democrat administration that gets in, we are going to see problems on the southern border like we've never seen. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what's going on. This goes on every election cycle. But the funny part is both sides say that they want to control it. They want to control the flow of people that come in here. But now we actually have a former CBP member, actually the commissioner, that's saying that this isn't by happenstance. This is actually what the Biden administration wants. Now, if you take that into consideration, what else we have going on here, and remember, we haven't had the Supreme Court rule when it comes to should cities get money for these people, when it comes to voting rights and, representation in government. When you count the people, do you count the citizens or do you count the other people? We haven't had any of that take place yet. And yet right now we're 4 times higher than we have been in the last 10 years. And we are watching the rates of people come through the border the highest since 2006. Listen to this for a second. The skyrocketing migrant surge at the U.S.-Mexico border is exactly what the Biden administration wanted. Former acting Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan told America Reports Wednesday. It's just going to continue to increase, Morgan said, after Roberta Jacobson, the National Security Council Southwestern Border Coordinator, admitted that the increase is in crossings is connected to President Biden taking office. We've seen surges before, Jacobson said. Surges tend to respond to hope, and there was significant hope for a humane policy after 4 years of pent-up demand. So I don't know if I would call it a coincidence, Jacobson told reporters at the White House. Here's the thing. She works for Biden. She's telling us that, there was pent-up anger because they want to cross the border. And now they have hope because they have Biden in there. And they know that they're not going to follow our rules. Title 8, they're not going to follow any of those. And it's a free-for-all now.
It is, and I'll tell you, it's a disgrace. And if I was in the U.S. military right now, I'd be up to the wall. He's letting these people come in every day. It's an invasion right now. Some of these people are infected with coronavirus. I can't believe the treason that this guy Biden's committing by doing this. And you talk about a secure border. I mean, I remember in the 90s during Clinton and Gore. Of course, I knew some of Al Gore's people. They had that border was under strict control back then.
Right.
I mean, there was some illegal immigration, but that border was basically secure. And under Bush, I'm not so sure how whether it weakened somewhat. I do know under Obama it started to weaken a great deal, and then under Trump they cleaned it up, and now we have the most, I would say, criminal, outrageous border policy in the history of the United States. And I even talked to a friend of mine at the French consul the other day. I thought we were insane. This is France, our oldest ally.
Right.
And, the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, he says he doesn't want anything to do with American counterculture. Did you see that?
Oh, I saw that.
He's had it.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
he's had it. I've had it. You've had it. Everybody's had it. We're sick of it. But here's what gets me. We know how to fix this problem. It was demonstrated to us under Donald Trump. Here's the thing. Listen to this. They told us, this is Biden's spokeswoman, says just be prepared. Americans should know that we have a full-blown crisis at our southern border. And she said Americans need to brace for 3.5, 4 months of peak illegal immigration. They have it down so much that they even know when it's going to peak. What do you think about that?
I think it is, Alan, as I just said, it's out and out treason. And what they're doing is trying to split hairs when they talk about, well, this phase against that phase. They're full of crap.
Right.
What they're doing basically is they're opening up our border. They want to bring these people in here, and to be very blunt with you, cheap labor and register them to vote. That's what it's all about.
Amen.
And in the history of this illegal immigration, which actually started to some degree in the 1980s, both parties are to blame. The Democrats more, in my opinion.
Right.
But there were elements of the Republican Party, too. I mean, Jeb Bush is out for illegal immigration. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, well, naturally.
It is what it is. Well, Tom, hang with us, everybody. I got to go to break. As soon as we come back from break, I want to talk about how Arizona and Texas are both leading the way now, and you're going to love it.
Do you value yourself, your family, your friends? Want to know more about how to survive, thrive, and stay alive in these dynamic times? Listen to Around the Campfire with Kate, Thursday nights and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Central, only on PSN TV. That's Around the Campfire with Kate. News that nobody in the MSM wants to report. Remember, train hard, train smart to survive, thrive, and stay alive.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Tom, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I got about 10 minutes with you, and then I got to run, but let's go.
Okay, so here we go. Arizona came out, and I swear these states are listening to me. I've been talking about this. States' rights. You know what? States' rights usually, not in all cases, but usually trump the federal government, especially when it comes to elections, when it comes to the Second Amendment, when it comes to our Bill of Rights. The rules for these states are completely different than the federal government. So all these people are really worried about Joe Biden going after their Second Amendment. Listen to this headline, and I just want, before I talk about it, I want to get your perception of it. It says this: Arizona Senate stands up to the feds by passing a bill that declares federal gun control null and void within the borders of Arizona.
I agree with it completely. The Second Amendment is very clear. You have a right to bear arms. You have a right to have a set up state militias to defend your constitutional rights against tyrants.
Right.
And those constitutional rights include the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment. Of course, as far as I'm concerned right now, Jeremy, the Second Amendment is probably the only thing left because we don't have a First Amendment or Fourth Amendment anymore. We live in a post-constitutional republic.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Senate Bill 1328, man. Arizona, Senate Bill 1328. It says it declares that the federal gun control laws that transgress on the U.S. or Arizona constitutions right to bear arms are unenforceable.
They are unenforceable. What the state of Arizona is basically saying is you have now crossed the line or about to cross the line on the infringement of our constitutional rights.
Right.
Now, I have a theory about secession that I studied years ago at Notre Dame when I took history and things like that. Secession that was done during the Civil War was treason because you had all these states all at once seceding from the Union.
Correct.
And it wasn't so much as a constitutional question. It was basically on a policy question concerning the issue of slavery. But secession is when you study secession, individual states have a right to secede if they have concluded that the federal government no longer respects the Constitution of the United States of America and is basically in contempt. That's the word. Everybody write this down. In contempt.
Right.
And right now, as far as I'm concerned, you can say you agree or disagree with me, Jeremy, the federal government is in contempt of the Constitution of the United States when it comes to trying to apply these federal laws to various states in the Union.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You live in one of those states, in California, where California said, well, the federal law about masking and banning people getting together, the right to assemble. I mean, California was one of the very last ones that allowed people to go to church. That was complete tyranny from day one. If we chose not to go to church, that's up to us. There is zero laws that are under the Constitution that allow the government to tell us that we cannot assemble, period. None. If there are, they're unconstitutional, right?
You're correct. Well, California's changed a lot. I mean, it's because of the illegal immigration.
Right.
I think a lot of it has to do with most of it's a very pro-choice, very pro-abortion state, obviously. California used to be a very libertarian state.
Right.
Freedom, free enterprise, business. If you remember, Herbert Hoover had a connection to California, the Republican Party. It was a solid Republican state. During the Great Depression, Franklin Roosevelt gave very little to the West, very little to California. He loaded everything up in the South. You remember that?
Right.
That was FDR.
Right.
Art?
He did.
And that's why I've always said people that say Southern Democrats were they may have been segregationists, and they were arch conservative. They weren't conservative at all. When it came to economic issues, they were more liberal and more deal than some of the Democrats in the North. You know what I'm saying? But,
right.
That is California shifted, and now it's become a politically correct state